of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio-medic. 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 Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate. Alright, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. Check yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat. All right, heal up. Heal up. Heal up. Healing boost. Oh, I like the sound of that. Ooh, I must have this track on repeat. Repeat. Oh, you hear that? You hear that? Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it down. Oh, let's break it. Break it. Break it. Break it down. Let's drop the beat. Beat. Let's get you healed up. Let's get you healed up. Healed up. Yeah. Healed up. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's move it, people. Yeah, let's pick it up. Lucio coming at you. Coming at you. Yeah, time to heal up. Oh, turn it up. Up. Turn it up. Turn it up. Turn it up in my headphones. My headphones. Turn it up in my headphones. Audio medic. Audio medic. Audio medic. Move to the beat. Boost. Oh, this is my jam. Time to accelerate.
All right, we are live once again with another episode of Off the Wall, sponsored by CGO Console Gaming League. It's your boy Dazzle167 bringing you another episode, also sponsored by SocialClothing.com and Tiebreaker GG. And I am here once again with another person that is amazing. And listen, this is the first time I'm talking to somebody from the Mortal Kombat scene. Too easy. How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm glad to hear it because I'm looking forward to having this talk. I think it's gonna be really good. I'm gonna learn some stuff. I think everybody who's watching is gonna learn some stuff. If anybody later on in the chat has some questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll see if we could get some in here as well. But listen, this is the first. So my show's usually like centered around like Overwatch and stuff like that. But I wanted to expand because I saw how console combat on CGL was growing so fast and how great the community was, and like I had just been hearing a lot of great things, and I was like, oh, I got to meet some of these people. Like I want to get into watching them and seeing them, and it's some of these tournaments for like CGL have been really exciting. Like it gets really good watching it, and there's a lot of people talking in the chat. It's just really, it's a good time. Like I caught myself watching it a couple times, and I was like, man, this is just it's so easy to like get into and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk to you about that, but let's go all the way back with our first question, which is like like an origin question. So tell me about your gaming origin. What did you first start playing? What platform did you start playing on? Stuff like that. Let's talk about the original gaming for you.
And gaming origins. All right. So, man, gaming since day one, literally. Like I have three older brothers than me, right? They kind of paved the way. We've always been gaming junkies, and they kind of got me into it automatically just because I was the baby, right? The baby of all the three, four brothers.
Right.
So like, MK was definitely a household game. Smash Brothers, just anything competitive where we would like just try to beat each other. So gaming since day one, pretty much. And then just as I got older, just progressing. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, all of that stuff. So just always been gaming, man.
Nice. So let's talk about how you went from that to eventually starting into fighting games, because I think that transition is going to be interesting, and you can always tell when somebody gets good at something, or when somebody starts developing, liking a certain game and they start getting into it. So what attracted you to fighting games in general?
Right. Well, so like even before like I started competitive fighting, right? Me and my brother Alcatraz, we've kind of always been competitive, and PlayStation 2 was one of the first games that had actual like online, right? We
Yeah.
played SOCOM, we played like Call of Duty, and like no matter what game we played, we would always compete. We would always like, yo, we need to be the best. Yo, if we're playing, we're not playing for fun. We're playing to be the best. We're playing to just trash on everybody. So that mentality crossed over from like my age 10 to now. Like even at age 10, I was already being more, because my brother, he was like 5 6 years older than me, right? So I kind of just followed him and whatever he did, and he kind of like, I didn't have a say, man. He was just the older brother, right?
Yeah, right.
But yeah. So basically, it went from shooters, SOCOM, Call of Duty, and then we played fighting games, but casual. We didn't know frame data is very important in fighting games. I didn't know
Right.
any of that until like late 2015. So basically, how I got into the MKX scene, like the competitive side of it, was an event hosted on Twitch, NetherRealm Studios. It was called Fatal 8. So Fatal 8, it just kind of it hosted the like just top 8 players in the world. When I watched this, I was like, "Yo, who are these people? These are bums." But like, yo, these were like big figures in the community, right? That I didn't know at
Right.
the time. Um, Man, and it was just crazy. Like, this was the first time I saw a presentation of any sort. This is like compared to esports, what it is now. This is like a little baby esport event, right?
Right.
But it drew me in. I saw like the passion in the players. I saw the hype, the commentators, like everything. It was crazy. I'm like, yo, whatever this is, I'm gonna be a part of it.
Right.
So like after I seen this, I took every step, every like initiative. I looked online for tournaments. I looked at yo, who are these people? Like, how did they get to the how did they get invited into this event? How can I get this invitation next?
Right.
So like it was just, bro, it was just so much to grow from, and it was beautiful. And like, so since then, since Fatal 8, I've been attached to like the FGC, right? The community. It's a big, big community. Um, and it's like it's more than just one game, right? You have so many different fighting games, and
Right.
we're all pitched into this one community, FGC, where like you know about, oh, Smash Brothers Melee. I know everything about like every other fighting game I know about, and I
Wow.
have to an extent I understand how it's played at a high level, which is dope, which is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's one of the best parts about the fighting game community is that it's not it's very supportive. Everybody's really knowledgeable. There's not just one game. There's several games, and people kind of because essentially they're all because they're all fighting games, regardless of whether they're different games or not. They all kind of have the same mechanics with different abilities and different things like that. So they all have like a different perspective. But I'm really interested in like because you had mentioned to me before how you started playing the game and before when were playing the game you were kind of unaware of the whole esports scene, right? Do you think that the lack of exposure of like fighting games is the reason why like FGC hasn't grown to like the ranks of like League of Legends and stuff like that, where those esports where they're huge and stuff like that? Do you think that that has to do with it, or does it have to do more with because I feel like fighting games have a grassroots type of movement. Do you think that it wants to stay that way, or it can get up to that level like those big esports?
Right. Well, 100%. You said lack of exposure. That's facts. So, um, like even for MK11, right? We just started this intergate in the game where like when there's an offline event, part of the Pro Series, Pro Tour, or in this case it's called Pro Competition. There's actually like notification. There's a notification when you first sign in telling you, hey, pro tour event coming up, pro competition event coming up, click here to watch. Like that's just the beginning of it, right? That's
Right.
like that's definitely headed like into the direction that I want in regards to esports and just like capitalizing on everything that we do as competitors. And also they added another niche to it. So you have like a lot of stages, right? MK11. So they
Right.
have this training mode stage, and it changes in regards to an event. For example, last month was Combo Breaker, right? One of the biggest events for Mortal Kombat and just
Right.
fighting games in general. They had a stage, and it was like it was the background. It had Combo Breaker stuff on it. It said Combo Breaker. Like
Okay.
that's the way we want to go. Like that's definitely a positive route. I'm really happy we're pushing that esport aspect and just like pushing our players in our community. That's how you do it. You have to start in game. So the people that don't know anything about this FGC, like you put them on and you introduce them. For example, for me, remember like when I first played Mortal Kombat, 7 8 months of straight online warrior. Like I didn't know about a scene. I didn't know about anything. Yo,
Right.
I told Alcatraz, yo, let's grind, let's hit the leaderboards. That's all we had. Like, yo, I'm trying to be top leaderboard. I
Right.
remember like, yo, I remember our first like offline event, right? It was like it was super small, but it had a good pop bonus. yo, I'm like, yeah. I talked to the people there. I'm like, yeah, yo, I'm ranked number 3 right now in the leaderboards. Yeah, just flexing a little bit. That's all I had, man, because I thought that was everything to it. But like, nah, man, there's definitely more. So like, definitely, people that are interested, man, you just have to. It's easier now for people to get into the scene, thankfully, because of all these like little things, and also like NetherRealm Studios, the producers of the game, they're pushing. That helps a lot. They're willing to help and expand our scene and like pushing into esports. Yeah.
And do you think that the developers are doing a good job for like because like people like you guys are grinders. You play the game and you grind it out, and you try to get into these tournaments and stuff like that. But for people like me who are casual viewers who like to watch the game as a spectator, who don't necessarily want to go in it, do you think that they're catering to that type of audience where it's not just for the fighting game community but also for the people who like just watching it? Because I think that's the biggest thing that kind of propels the thing. Do you think that is there's a lot of support in that sense where the developers are like, let's try to get like regular people to come out and see this?
Yeah, for sure. Especially being in the scene for 4, almost 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
they definitely leveled in that aspect. In that,
Okay.
like, definitely doing good. Like, I'm really proud the way they're pushing. They're not forcing it. They're kind of like strategic where they're not 100% convinced, right? So they're going like taking baby steps. But this year, I'm completely convinced they're gonna push. They're gonna make heavy moves in regards to our scene, which is really dope. I'm really glad. I'm really happy to be a part of this scene, man.
Oh, absolutely. And it sounds like a great scene to be a part of. Let me ask you something about, when you first started actually getting serious about the game, because, you mentioned how, earlier that when you first started, you didn't know anything about frame data and stuff like that, and how important and crucial that is. There's a lot of like small nuanced things that are part of the game that people like me, even casual players, I don't really understand. I know a lot of like I like playing a lot of these games, but I'm a button pusher, I'm a button masher. Like that's my
Right.
that's my thing. Like I'm no I'm no pro at it. I just like mashing the buttons. But for people who want to really get into it, it's more than just creating combos and stuff like that. Explain to me how you got from being somebody who just like wanted to do combos to actually getting into like the number crunching and the frame data and stuff like that.
Well, for me specifically, I would say my passion, like to just competing and like being so into the game, definitely. I think I got to learn faster than most people because I was like, it got to a point where I would lose, right? Damn, I don't know what I could do better, man. Do I need to do more damage? I swear, I would like when I first started, I would spend so much time be like, yo, this combo, there is no way you can optimize this combo more than me. Like I would that was me. I was like lab. I was lab monster. That's what you call lab monsters. People that like don't even play, they just like create things and then the top players take them, lab monsters, right? So like I would just try so hard, be like, yo, I need to make more damage. I need to hurt him harder. That's kind of my approach. But obviously it's more than that. But yeah, so like basically like once you start playing, you kind of have to. There's a lot of stuff. Like I've taught a couple of players. Like I've showed a lot of players how to play and stuff. You have to start. I think like combos, basic combos is really important. You
Right.
kind of go off of that. Okay, so you got your combos, right? Your B&Bs. B&Bs are bread and butter. So kind of like what you do
Right. Right.
after a certain, like you kind of want to do this every time if possible, right? Get your B&Bs down. Okay, what's next? All right, now you like kind of have to look at frame data. Oh, you press this button. What happens? What am I allowed to do from this situation? So it creates mind games, right? So that's kind of what fighting games are all about, especially at the high level. It's all mind games. Like, so you kind of build, okay, if I can do this, what can they do? And et cetera, et cetera. It expands, right? That's kind of
Right.
like it's crazy mind games, and like every second counts. Every second counts. It's like they say chess, like chess on steroids. That's kind of what like fighting games. That's what they say fighting games is chess on steroids because every move is a decision, and like are you gonna die, or are you going to like are you going to destroy your opponent with this decision?
Right,
So
and it's so fast paced too, right?
yeah,
As
exactly.
opposed to like chess, where chess you, I mean, obviously people who are pro chess players they move quickly, but like as far as the game itself, you have a moment to think, and but I feel like with fighting games, everything's more reactionary, right? Everything is just more like you either have to anticipate a move or you have to kind of wait till it happens and react to it. So you know that type of thing. What do you think for people who are learning and stuff like that? What do you think is the best way to go? Do you have to like learn how to anticipate things?
Yeah, definitely. Reactions is really important. That's why, there's a joke. It's like a meme, right? They say like, once you hit 25, you can't react.
Right,
So once
right.
you hit 25, like you got to retire, man. That's it. That's your career.
Yeah, and
Which
definitely
is
in
definitely,
esports is like yeah, for sure.
yeah, but that's definitely not the case. Actually,
Right,
yeah, most esports, once you hit a certain age, like that's it,
right.
bro. You become a coach, a caster, something like that.
Yeah,
But no, so there's examples that people plus 30 like still relevant. You have
right.
Tokido, Street Fighter. You have so many people that are still relevant, but they're like in their 30s, mid 30s, high 30s. Like, so it's kind of um reactions and stuff very very relevant in fighting games, but it doesn't make or break you. It just depends how much do you want it. Do you want it that bad that you're willing to take like more effort even if you're older? So it's not.
Right. Uh,
Yeah.
let's go into a little bit about. I'm really curious about the frame data because there's a lot of number crunching and stuff like that. How do you get to that point where, like number wise for you, what do you think is the most important thing? When you're diving into that, because I know a lot of people who they're like, okay, I got my combos, like I got my bread and butter. What do I do now? Like how do I take that to the next step? What's it like for you?
Right. Yeah, actually, you just asked me this. My bad. I like I skipped it over. Okay, so frame data.
Right.
Yeah, so it's basically like for me, you kind of just labbing. It's a lot of labbing, spending time by yourself, and just testing out like strings. Because okay, when you look at your move list, it
Hmm.
tells you what strings are what on block, what on hit, with recovery. That's terms that general like throughout all fighting games.
Right.
So it's
Right.
not just specific to MK or Street Fighter, Smash Bros. Even Smash Brothers. And Smash Brothers is technically like uh, a really, really standalone fighting game because it's so unique. It
Right.
still has frame data.
Right.
So frame data is relevant in everything. So the best way to break down frame data, you have to go in the lab. You have to see what strings are what. Also, it has different properties. Like if you hit like from max distance, it could change the frame data. If you hit them like front up close, it could change the frame data as well. So all of that stuff is kind of trial and error, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to spend time. Like you're not going to be successful in any fighting game, well, life period, right? But fighting games
Right.
specifically, you have to be able to spend time in the lab. You have to test out strengths. Yeah, that's when you start leveling up. Like, okay, B and Bs. Now I have frame data, right? So now I know what to do. I don't want to throw the string out because I'll get punished, and I'll take 30%. So let's not throw the string out as much. This and that. So just labbing. That when people say, "Yo, I'm in the lab,"
Yeah.
that's
They're just
that's it.
practicing. They're putting in work and grinding
Exactly.
on
It's not
themselves.
even just combos. When you say in the lab, it's not just combos. It could
Right.
be so many things, so many
Right.
different. Yeah.
Well, let's move this on to something different because I think this is one of the aspects that I was reading an article about the fighting game community and how different it is from a lot of other esports, and one of the most unique aspects about it, which I think it's something to be proud of in the fighting game community, is that as opposed to a lot of other esports scenes, the fighting game community is really diverse culturally and racially. Like there's a lot of different people from all different walks of life and background in a fighting game. For a lot of other esports, like League of Legends and Call of Duty and Overwatch, there seems to be always like Asian culture is really really good at like being able to have a great esports scene, and therefore they're really good at certain games and stuff like that.
Right.
But and sometimes they dominate a large portion of the esports scene. But it seems like fighting games are very diverse. Do you think that there's something inherent in that game, in that community, that makes it open for a lot of other cultures and and people's ethnicity and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's crazy, right? I noticed that as well. Like you have Dota, League of Legends, all dominated by like the like Asian side of the globe, man. It's crazy. But yeah, well, let's speak on Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat, I think there might be an issue because I think 100% sure that it's like banned because of the gore. So on that side of the
Right,
world, the prom yeah, like most of it anyways, it's like banned over there because of the gore and stuff,
right.
and like they can't get copies over there. They don't sell them. Um, but let's talk about like different fighting games like Dragon Ball Z, Street Fighter. Even it's kind of dominated by the Asian side of yeah, for sure. It's like definitely, but the FGC in general, yeah, you have walks of life. Spanish scene is very strong. North America, you have you just have like almost everywhere. Europe has a really strong scene. Canada, they're obviously North America as well, but Canada has a strong scene. What else? Almost every region has their own scene. Africa, like they Africa, they voiced they this has happened like a month ago. They voiced to NetherRealm and stuff like, hey, listen, um, oh, we're not getting representation. We put in
Right.
this much amount of money, and they got a qualifier.
Wow, that's big. That's
Yeah,
huge.
it's crazy. Like they have a scene, low key scene. Nobody knows about. They get like 100, 110 entrants per event when they were playing Mortal Kombat.
Wow.
Like they had statistics, right? They had this lady, I forgot her name, but she presented all the info to them. They were like, yo, you know what, this is true. Boom, they give them a qualifier, right, like that. So this is dope, man. It's like if you have like genuine love for MK, especially you have a community, bro. NetherRealm Studios, like they'll give you love. Australia, excuse me, Australia, like a strong scene as well. Like they have scenes everywhere. So, but yeah, unfortunately, we don't have like Asian market for MK because of the gore.
Big, yeah.
From what I heard, they said that a lot. But
Right.
other fighting games, you have that dominancy for sure.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's really good. Now listen. Talk to me really quickly about I want to hear about your I want you to flex a little bit about your rank. Like, what was your for tournament wise, like what's your resume look like as far as like tournament wins and leaderboards and stuff like that? What's your highest peak for you as a performer, like tournament wise? What has been the most successful thing you've done so far?
Well, so most successes, like my best successes, I had decent successes like for Mortal Kombat. Once I got my first sponsor, right, 2016, it was one of the first like official sponsors for our game outside of like Noble. Noble was like really young at the time,
Mm,
but it was Noble, and then Circa Esports just came out, and then my sponsor as well. It was a Canadian sponsor, Set to Destroy X. So like they had me. I traveled for like 3 months straight, like back to back. I had like two events every month. I was traveling like crazy. I just moved to Chicago, and so I was getting a lot of like. There was no. Oh, also like during that time there was no pro league. It was just kind of grassroots events, and then NetherRealm would provide pop bonus, or like there would be pop bonuses. I would only travel to events that had like initiative or incentive for me to travel to it. So I would travel
right.
to like a lot of pop bonus events. I won a couple, so I was just placing like every event you would see me too easy top eight. But it wasn't like there was no pro league at the time. The only
Right.
pro league was online, and it was kind of sus because the net code was not the best. But then they leveled up the net code. But 2016, there like it was just a lot of offline traveling. I was placing top eight at every event, and then Injustice 2 came out. It was my first Injustice, so it took me some time to like really adapt. Completely different from MK, and I didn't play
Right.
Injustice 1. You know, prior to like the people that were been in the scene, they already know what to do. They already know who to use to gravitate to. So it took me some time, but I was able to get into the finals of Hometown Heroes Injustice 2. So that was season one of the Pro Tour for Injustice.
Right.
I placed. I got to the finals. It was in Vegas. It was sick event. It was like
Nice.
dope. And I placed pretty. I placed pretty bad, but it was a big event to get. You know, traveled. I had to travel, and it was like a lot of online stuff before that to qualify. You know, so I got a lot of
Right.
first
Right.
places. So
I mean, you're
um,
still talking about people who are competing, like the best of the best are competing. So I mean, even just getting
right,
there is
exactly.
probably just
Yeah, exactly.
it's yeah, exactly. So it's probably like just that alone. I want to talk about some specifics that have always kind of been on my mind a lot. So you know, let me talk. I've been to a few, local land tournaments. You know, just like just real local stuff that a lot of people have done for fighting games. And you know, I see a difference between people who bring their controllers and people who bring like the arcade pad. You know, with the joysticks and everything. Tell me the
Yeah.
difference between somebody who brings that and somebody who brings a controller. Is there a balance between the two? Is there a benefit or gameplay? What's the difference between those?
To be honest, there's no real big difference. It's
Right.
mostly preference. Um, so do you see like the people that play on stick, they call it like fighter sticks, it's
Right.
usually Street Fighter players. The reason so because you know those are like the OGs, like they're used to playing on the cabinets, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the arcade cabinets.
Right.
That's legit the reason why like that appeals to them.
Yeah.
Um, because it takes time. Like if I started out console, right, controller, I'm used to
Right.
controller. So having to switch over to a fighter stick is way harder than the other way around.
Right.
So thankfully, our game, like you can play. There's a lot of successful players that have fighter sticks in NetherRealm Studio games,
Mm-hmm.
but the prime like 80% of people use a controller, either PS4,
Right.
Xbox, Astro, whatever.
Right. So
Yeah, so
there's
it's preference. It's really preference.
right.
There's like tad differences. Like command grabs. The input for command grab it'll be down, back, forward button, and then like it might be easier on like a fighter stick. So I don't know.
Right.
It's all preference and like what you grew up on, what you're comfortable.
Oh nice. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I've always saw that, and I've always thought to myself, is there a difference between like, but like you said, it's just all preference. Let's talk about
Mhm.
the consoles themselves because from what I understood, the pro scene works off of PlayStation. Am I correct in that? Because I'm not sure exactly. So I think that someone told me that a lot of the like if you go to LAN tournaments is like PlayStation, but obviously it's available as well on Xbox. So what's the difference between the consoles? Like is that something where people primarily play on Xbox or PlayStation? What's the meta like for the different consoles?
Right, metaphor consoles.
Basically,
Yeah, now the main like tournament standard PS4, 100%.
right,
There was a time where Xbox was the wave. Xbox was definitely taking over, but they kind of switched over. I think it was trial and error. They're trying to see like, oh, do we like Xbox? We like PS4. They started out with Xbox with the MKX,
mm-hmm.
Mortal Kombat 10. They started kind of the online circuit. It was like all online, so all the online words were in there. But Xbox was definitely the chosen. But then since we've stuck to PS4 and never looked back. But even like me, man, I had my gripes with Xbox. A lot of people complain and stuff. I don't know if you're Xbox or PS4, but like it was way smoother
To move to
to run it on
PS4.
PS4. Yeah, that's why they kept PS4, and I'm
That
happy
makes
with that
sense.
change. But yeah.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so we definitely have a little more questions, but before we go into that, I actually want to show a clip that we talked about beforehand. This is a clip that we want to show. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I think you kind of explained it to me for a little bit, but I want to show everybody else the clip. So let's go into that really quick. That's not it right there. Let's get the thing here. Where is this? I'm trying to get there we go. There's the clip. All right, so yeah, we have the video there. Give me 1 second. I believe you're cut out of the frame for some reason.
That's so good. That couch though is looking good. I need that esports chair, man. I've been I just moved actually. I just moved, so like, bro, I still have stuff in the storage. I still have mad stuff in the garage. But yeah, I need to change that soon.
Right, let's get you in here.
Hey,
there we go. Let's move you over real quick. All right, cool. Get you in there. All right, so let's watch this clip really quick, and see what it's all about.
He is, or Scyther I should say, is just dropping
that's kind of fine. Who is that?
combos because he doesn't play this character normally, or if he is maybe just needed to wake up a little bit in that situation. We did of course see Scyther go down 2 games the first matches that he had today, but it's not looking so good in this situation because it's literally just whiff punishing.
Oh, the disrespect
That
with the corner
now,
competitive crouching.
Now, I will say there are a lot of moves where you do need to.
No, something's not.
I
No,
know.
Wow. So that, listen, that's, I don't need to know that much about fighting games to just be able to be like he didn't just touch you at all. Like, it was flawless, right?
That was kind of savage, yeah. That was messed up, man. He didn't deserve that. He's a cool dude, man.
But I mean, okay, so but at the end of the day, right? It's not like, I mean, you're going to win, right? So you're not gonna you're not gonna
exactly.
You're not like trying to like be nice or anything. You're gonna be like, I'm gonna play to my best ability. Like, if you can't handle it, that's part of it too.
Yeah, everything. See, I don't gotta explain that. You understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about competitiveness. All right, so let's talk about your orgs real quick, because yeah, I feel like you've had a lot of success throughout your esport career. You've been aligned with a lot of really great orgs and stuff like that. Tell us about your new one, because I was curious to see about, you were telling me about your new org and stuff like that, and how they were a smaller org, but they really took care of you. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Oh yeah. So shout outs to them. Hybrid Gaming. Twitter is like GG Hybrid Gaming. So before the season started, I'm kind of a vet at this, right? I know what to look for in orgs. I know what I want from an org, and I know what's realistic. So like, I have a standard. Like, if they don't meet the standard to begin with, like, next org, right? So I'm just preparing, for the season. I have my resume ready on deck, and I'm approaching orgs, and I have a couple as well approaching me. So I'm just like, cross elimination, or which is beneficial for me, my brand, which is like, I'm looking for a longest term, like at least for the whole season. Like, which org can definitely provide for me for the season, so I can be at every event needed, and I can make finals, etc., etc. So after cross eliminating, man, a couple of orgs, like, I chose them because they were like, they're taking care of me, man. Believe that. It's not just about, like, trust me, it's not just about being signed. Like, if you're being signed, make sure that you're happy with what you're getting, and that, like, it's on par to what to you. Like, if you're a top player, you need to be getting like some type of salary and flight covered, all of that good stuff. Like, obviously, if you're up and come up, you're kind of like not you don't know what your place, it's not consistent, then that's different. But like, consistent top players, like, if you don't have your contract on point, if you even sign a contract, some situations with me, I didn't have to sign a contract, but like, they took care of me as well. But yeah, this situation is contractual, and but they're taking care of me, man. It's a blessing. I'm happy. So I'm currently like in Seattle, but I go to Florida a lot because I have fam there. So I'm back and forth, but I see these guys in person like every other week, man. We meet up, we discuss like, stuff that we want to do together, any collaborations.
Right.
It's dope. So yeah, it's cool, man. Make sure like players out there, make sure you're getting taken care of, man, because
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? You want to be able to get taken care of, be able to have an org that has your back and gives you exposure and gives you obviously an incentive to be there as well. So that's all really good. We actually have a question in chat by Skate Action DJ. He's actually just curious if there was any resources or websites that you that people could reference to for specific things like number crunching and like the frame data that you were talking about. If there's any way, if there's a website that kind of has like it easy to understand for people who are starting out.
right. Well, so the like to go to website for like the last 4 years was testyourmight.com. Since then, it's gotten like kind of bad with trolls and just stuff that it's just like drama, you know.
Right.
I've stayed away from that website for a couple years now because I already know what to do, right?
Right.
For newer players, there's a couple of like a couple of top players that they make their Patreon. The best website Patreon I would like refer anyone to is Noble Raptor. That's his Twitter handle. He's really solid player, and I think he's better at kind of coaching than anything else. Yeah, definitely. His Patreon, he actually created a website, like everything, sheets, like frame data, guides on character. Like this is the guy to go to.
Right.
I don't have the. I can look it up right now if you want, but I don't have the actual. It's a website. I don't have it. But
Right.
yeah, he's a really solid guy. He kind of stopped competing, but he's still relevant in the scene because
Right.
people appreciate his content, and like top tier content would definitely be him. And it's not even an ad. Like he doesn't. I would definitely refer him to anyone like wanting to really learn and you want to level up as soon as possible. You want to level up fast. It's this guy, yeah, Noble Raptor.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure people
Yeah,
can definitely look him up and find out. And then we'll definitely show us the link if anything. But let me ask you another question that we could get into. I think the first time I really kind of got into your guys' scene was the obviously when CGL started doing the console combat, and it became right. Kind of like really big in a very short amount of time. And I think it was because there was kind of like a void, not necessarily a void, but like just I feel like the fighting game community found that there was something else that they could get into, and boom, people just started going into that and supporting it immediately. I mean, it looked really good. So what do you think? Because Console Combat's partnered, for like the road to Evo and stuff like that. What do you think that does for the fighting game community?
Man, it's beautiful. It's a blessing because let me tell you, these online warriors, they think they're good.
Right.
So that's like the best way to prove yourself. If you think you're good, get this flight to Evo, the like biggest event, FGC event of the year, free, right? Get this flight and prove yourself. Let's see how good you really are. So it's awesome, man. It's a blessing. Thank you, yo, CGL, godlike. Thank you for supporting the scene. That's why I tell everyone, like, yo, if these dudes are supporting us, support them, retweet, like all their stuff, man. There's no excuse. You're part of the scene. Support these dudes, man. They're not asking anything of you. So, yo, like CGL, greatly appreciate all you guys, everything that they do for us. These events, week after week, with a prize pool, a possible flight to Evo. Like, I'm thankful for that, man. So
yeah,
it definitely helps. It definitely helps, man. It's godlike.
Absolutely. And one of the things that when I saw it, was you'd be surprised because there's a lot of different communities that have the opportunity that CGL is given the opportunity to do several things, to make money with online tournaments and stuff like that. But seeing the output and the support that the fighting game community has towards CGL is really inspiring, because I see other times, we have console tournaments for Overwatch, and they don't nearly get as much support from the players. Like the players don't seem to support it as much as the fighting game community. And you guys come out and you guys show out and watch, and week to week, it gets really interesting, and there's a lot of viewership that goes on with it, and it's just really inspiring in general, and obviously for Mortal Kombat, but also for all the other games. All the other competitive games, it's very inspiring for people to just be like, wow, this community is doing big things. Like they show out, and that's huge. And I think that, I know people like Nips and everybody who, when he saw that happening, he was like, wow, this is amazing. Like the fact that these guys really are here to represent and stuff is amazing. So shout outs to obviously CGL is doing great things by being able to put on these tournaments, but shout out to the community, because I feel like that's really where it's at, right? Because the support that you guys give each other and to get each other out there and stuff like that is huge. So I'm down to see this more often. But moving on to something different, let me talk about your stream, because I'm really curious about your stream. When did you start streaming, and what are your streams like? What do you try to focus on when you stream?
Man, I've been streaming. So like I had a gap. I started streaming like 2016. I first moved to Chicago, right? I just I've been sponsored already for like a year. So I'm like, yo, you know what? We're chilling. We did this traveling stuff for a while. Let's start streaming. So just started streaming. Had decent viewership, whatever. This was Mortal Kombat. The game was kind of dying already because Injustice 2 was coming out, but I still streamed. I kind of learned the ins and outs, but I was still rookie. But like I started streaming again for the last month. I've been streaming. I'm still like figuring out my schedule, but I've streamed like almost like 4 or 5 days straight and like 8-hour streams. I've been kind of grinding. Man, that's an issue with me. Like once I do something, I don't know how to do it, and I don't know how to say it. I just like OD. I do OD. Like I do it too much, man. I don't know how to stop. Like once I really like something or passionate about something, I put 110, man.
It's funny because so I forget where it's from, but there's a book, I think it's a Malcolm Gladwell book, that says that in order for you to be the best at something, you got to put at least 10,000 hours. And for a lot of gamers, that's not unrealistic. I mean,
that's possible.
That's possible. Like for us gamers, we grind games forever and just get good at it. And it seems that like people like you who have that competitive spirit, who just, like you said, you grind, you do it, and you just keep doing it for hours and hours, and that's all you can think about. Like those are the people who end up getting not only better, but rise to the top and stuff like that. So obviously that's something that you like to do. I feel like I'm the same way. Obviously I don't think I'm as talented as that, but I do think that like I feel like when I find a game and I really like it, I grind it and keep grinding it and try to be better every time. But yeah, there's definitely a competitive spirit in that regard as well.
For sure.
Well, listen, I mean, we're coming to the end of the show, but I wanted to ask you if there's anything that you would like to promote, anybody who you'd like to shout out, if you want to, share your stream and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. First and foremost, shout out to CGL hosting all these events for us. Obviously, you guys know they have their stuff on here. Shout out to them. Shout out to you guys. Like I see a lot of potential in you, bro. Like you have a good, you have a good radio. I can see you like talking on the radio.
Yeah.
And it would seem like really natural because you have a natural voice to that. You have like a calming, smooth voice. Yeah, man. So shout outs to you. Shout outs to Hybrid once again, taking care of me pretty good. Getting me to these events and stuff. What else? I'll put in my Twitch in here. Just too easy MK. Is my Twitch. I'll be streaming today. I have a little tournament after this. Actually,
nice.
Sponsored by CGL, so I'll be in it. It's the Xbox portion of it, so I'll be in there.
Nice.
Yeah, but other than that, man, just tune in. I have a couple announcements coming by next month. Pretty big announcements. I'm always making moves, man. It's important never to get like complacent, never get comfortable. Always strive to be better for sure.
Absolutely. And listen, what's your social media so that people can find you on there for those announcements?
Oh, okay. So let's do that. Yeah. So Twitch and Twitter, the same. Too Easy, and then at the end, MK. Too Easy, MK.
Perfect. That's easy.
Yeah. Right. The YouTube is the same. So I think those are the three I'm kind of pushing right now. The YouTube is still like I'm still pushing that with stuff like that. So it's still kind of like it's still how do you say this? The content is coming in for sure by this month, next month. I'll have content in there. But yeah, so those are my socials, man. Give me a follow, you know. If you're like interested in the scene, don't be afraid to reach out. So this scene, FGC especially, not Hollywood at all. So even like the best of the best, like if you hit them up, like most likely they'll respond. You know, depends.
That's
Depends
awesome.
how you. It depends how you approach them,
somebody,
you know?
right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly. But like for the most part, man, we're like really humble, down to earth people. We don't think we're like better than the average human being type stuff. So
absolutely, and
cool.
that's one of the great things about this community is that like it really does seem like everybody is super humble. I mean, obviously, like when you approach somebody, everybody's really humble. When you see them in game, like you were saying, like before, it's like, oh, people get disrespected all the time and like all this other stuff. Yeah. But like as far as like outside of the actual matches, you guys seem really humble and just eager to help each other out. You know, I haven't been in the fighting game community, but I've been in other communities like the like the card game communities and stuff like that, trading card games. Mm-hmm. And in those communities, the mentality has always been, you know, I want to play against even if I'm not the best, I want to play against the best. And even if they beat me, I want to learn from them. And I feel like that's how this community is that you're always trying you're always trying to go against the best to be the best. And you know, there's not a lot of communities who are like that. Usually there's a lot of like salty people who are like, oh, you know, you're not the best, you're garbage. And, you know, they think themselves as like too high. But like in this community, it feels like you guys always try to learn from each other, always try to like be better and thrive and learn and do that stuff. And it's been a pleasure to watch and definitely interview you.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's a positive, for the most part, it's a positive experience.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, let me tell you, once like the money getting put into these events and stuff, like you don't have time to be egotistical and I'm the best. Like you're hurting yourself if you have that mentality.
Plus, you can just show it, right? I mean, that's the best part about it, is that if you don't have to say you're the best, if you could just pick up the controller and show people, right? That's the best way you can do it. So that's what I like about it. Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming by and you know, talking to me about this. I feel like it's a great community to get into. I'll be looking into watching a lot more stuff from you guys, and I'll be watching, you know, all these weekly tournaments that are happening, and looking forward to seeing your progression, man, as a player, and seeing how you do better. So good luck on every other tournament. Good luck on tonight, and everything that you do in the future, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, next week is CEO in Daytona, Florida, so I'll be flying out there in a few days. But yeah, man, appreciate it. Thank you for having me. It was awesome being here, man. It was cool.
Perfect,
you have good energy, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. You can watch Too Easy later on tonight. He'll be streaming, like he's mentioned before. I'll be streaming as well. I'll probably be doing some games with Iron Numlocks. We'll have a small little Overwatch tournament you guys can watch as well later on tonight around 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys want to watch that, you can check out Too Easy's Twitch and check him out on Twitter. And until then, we're probably gonna raid somebody from the community. So say hello, tell them that Dazzle and Too Easy from Off the Wall is said hello. And until then, guys, I'll see you later. Peace.
Peace.
It's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. F it up. Oh, I'm in the groove. Back in the mix. yourself. Oh, feel that healing beat.